Pats Nation, how are we doing today? As always, you guys know who it is. It's your boy Colby, also known as Patriots Global, back here with another one. Today, we have the Patriots' initial 53-man roster. For the most part, this is going to be your New England Patriots team for the 2024-2025 season. The reason that I always put that caveat on it, initial 53-man roster, is because I promise you, there will be players that are on this roster right now that won't be here week one, and players that are not on this roster right now that will be here week one. The Patriots have third priority in the waiver wire claim. Gerard Mayo, Elliott Wolf, they said they were going to be aggressive in getting some players during roster cutdowns. There's been a lot of really good players that have been released between veterans, rookies. So I would imagine the Patriots would definitely be putting in some waiver claims for some of those players. But of course, nothing happening just yet. That's just stuff we'll have to stay tuned for. As always, guys, this video is brought to you by BetUS. We'll talk to you guys a little bit later how you can get an exclusive limited time offer of a 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits all the way up to $2,000. But first here, I want to break down the Patriots roster cuts. After we break down the roster cuts, I then want to get into what the roster is looking like for this team, because for the most part, guys, I did kind of good. Like, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but if you guys watched my 53-man roster breakdown video yesterday, which if you haven't, what are you doing? But if you did, you would know that for the most part, I got this Patriots roster down pretty damn good. Like I said, I don't want to toot my own horn, but for the most part, I got it down. I got it down. And I know a lot of you weren't happy with some of my decisions in that video, and I can't wait to break that all down. But shout out to all of you guys in the chat. Brady up in here, Ashton, Ray, Joe, my boy Chris up in here too. You guys already know we got our longtime supporter Ray in the chat. Cobra, DTN. Make sure I'm not missing out on anybody. Michaela's up in the chat. We got another Chris up in the chat. We got Goldie up in the chat. I love it. We got Wyatt, AC, Gerard up in the chat. I love it. We got Al. We got Luke. I love it. What does that say? Tuki 06 Gaming. Joe. Let's do it. We got Nicole up in the chat, guys. We got the whole family out here representing Pats Nation. As always, guys, if you are watching over on Twitter, looks like we have about 3 of you right now watching on Twitter. Come join us live on YouTube. Be a part of the comment section and the discussion. That's the best part about going live. So, unfortunately, if you're on Twitter, you can't be a part of it. So, come on over to Patriots Global on YouTube and join us. But let's get into these roster cuts. Unfortunately, nobody's posted it online, so I can't just pull it up for you guys, but I do still have them. So they did make a couple of roster moves yesterday before today's Tuesday 4 p.m. deadline. First cut was releasing lawn snapper Tucker Addington. No surprise there. Then they also released running back Deshaun Fenwick, UDFA, wide receiver Kawan Baker, tight end LaMichael Petway, edge rusher William Bradley King, defensive tackle Sam Roberts, linebacker Steele Chambers, and cornerback Azizi Hearn. For the most part, this list is as advertised. I mean, these are the releases that the Patriots should have made. At first, you're just going to release all of the guys that were quiet or just had a really, really bad offseason. For the most part, that's what all of these guys were. This first wave of releases, though, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I did have a little bit of a shocking moment. They released Sam Roberts early on in the phase. What that tells me is that he was never going to make the 53-man roster. Sam Roberts was a draft pick by the Patriots, I want to say during the 2022 draft, and over the last 2 seasons, he's made the Patriots 53-man roster. Now, obviously, he's only been a rotational piece. He hasn't played all that much, a little bit more of a special teamer, but at the end of the day, provides the Patriots with some pass rush stability, provides them with a veteran in the interior of the defensive line that knows the system. I didn't have him making my final roster, so it's not a surprise that he was cut. It was just a surprise that he was one of the first releases that they made. Obviously, Azizi Hearn during spring practices, he had some good moments, but he never carried that. He never carried that into the preseason. He wasn't consistent enough. And as we all know, Azizi Hearn was the reason that the Patriots lost against the Commanders, allowed them to come up and beat the Patriots by 10 points on that final drive, allowed them to get into the end zone. He also allowed that touchdown too, I should say. Azizi Hearn looked absolutely terrible, and I would be okay with him not even being back on the practice squad. He should have been one of the Patriots' first releases. Next up here, they also released tight end Jacob Warren, offensive tackle Zuri Henry, center Charles Turner, edge rusher Christian McCarroll, defensive tackle Josiah Brunson, and cornerback Mikey Victor. What the point was in signing 2 edge rushers right before the third and final preseason game made no sense. Christian McCarroll literally was inactive in that game. The only other inactive players for the final third preseason game are the guys that were a lock to make the roster. What was the point in signing a guy for a whole week, less than a week at that, to not even play him in the preseason game and give him an opportunity to see what he has to put him back on the practice squad? It just felt like, hey, we have a 53-man roster spot. Might as well use it. Like, no, you have roster cutdowns in a few days. If you don't think the guy is going to make the roster, no reason in filling up your damn 53, especially if you're not even going to play the guy in the preseason. So I can't say I understand that one, but he doesn't make the roster for obvious reasons. We have some news in terms of players that helped the Patriots get down to 53, but they weren't releases. This is placing Kendrick Bourne on the PUP list. You also have Sione Takitaki on the PUP list, Cole Strange on the PUP, Christian Barmore on IR, and who else was it? Marte Mapu also on the IR. What this means is that all 5 of those guys that I listed, they are all out for at least the first 4 weeks. What this means is that they're eligible to return week 5 when the Patriots play the in-division rival Miami Dolphins. Also, because of the new rule that the NFL implemented this offseason, you can put players on the injured reserve before the start of the season, and you can bring 2 of those players back. As we all know, the rule used to be that if you put a player on the injured reserve before they made your initial 53-man roster, they were immediately done for the rest of the season. With the new rule, like I said, that's not the case anymore. You can bring back now 2 players that you place on the IR before they make the initial 53. When it comes to Marte Mapu, what a sad story, man. What a sad damn story with Marte Mapu. Shows so much potential in his rookie offseason. The Patriots then don't play him in his rookie year. He looks better as a linebacker. I mean, he intercepted Patrick Mahomes and baited him into it. He had a special teams touchdown. Like, this guy has a role. He has potential. He's just not a safety. For some reason, the Patriots want to play Marte Mapu at the place that he looked the worst last season. And now they're putting him on IR, unlikely that he comes back, because they didn't find a role for him. Put him at linebacker, play him on special teams. That is the role for Marte Mapu. He was a 3rd-round pick in 2023. Why are we not trying to develop him? Why are we not putting him in a role that he clearly succeeded in? I don't know. I think that Marte Mapu is done for this upcoming season. I don't think that he returns. You can only bring back so many players. And honestly, the fact that they just IR'd him for the season with really no true injury, it probably isn't a good sign on Marte Mapu's future here in New England, which again sucks when I feel like they haven't really given him all the opportunities to truly succeed. I don't know how much I would say it's on Mapu rather than it's on the team for just not putting him in a position to truly succeed. I mean, he showed potential. As for Christian Barmore, I think ideally he's a guy that the team wants to bring back. We still don't know what's happening. You know, a lot of Patriots fans speculating he's out for the entire season. We don't know that, okay? Let's stop saying he's out the entire season when we don't actually know if he's out for the entire season, okay? What we do know is it's a medical issue. What we do know is that he's dealing with blood clots. Blood clots kind of vary from person to person. It's not if you tear your ACL, you're out for this period of time. No, when it's health, it varies from person to person. Also depends on where those blood clots are. We don't know where those blood clots are. I've heard potentially in his leg. That's not confirmed, though. If it's in his lungs, he's out the entire season. David Andrews, when he had blood clots, he was out the entire season. That was in his lung. That's one of the worst places to have it. If it's somewhere where it's like in his leg, I'm really not all that concerned. And I think that Christian Barmore could still potentially return. Won't play week 1, obviously, but I still think could return at some point this upcoming season. We need some type of update, at least on where those blood clots are. Kendrick Bourne, I think, does return this season. I disappointed, to say the least, that we were told that all players that were on the PUP list were going to be ready for the start of training camp, other than Cole Strange. Gerard Mayo lied straight to everybody's face when he said that all players were going to be ready for the start of training camp. Kendrick Bourne hasn't participated at all. Sione Takitaki hasn't participated at all. And for some reason, Gerard Mayo said, yeah, week one or day one of training camp, I expect those guys to be back. And yet we're literally entering week one and none of those guys have still practiced. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the wide receiver core when Kendrick Bourne does come back. I think when KB does come back, he is slotted in as the Patriots wide receiver one. There is still a big, big role here for KB. I hope they don't give up on him. I hope that they still give him his opportunity because he is a good player. He fits in this system. He knows this system. And I think that in the locker room, on the field, he's going to be a favorite for either Jacoby Brissett or Drake May. But like I said, the soonest he can come back is going to be week 5. I would hope that with another month out that he will be able to come back week 5. But again, with a season-ending injury, sometimes those things can be a little bit nagging. As for Sione Takitaki, I think that's another really interesting one because he hasn't played at all since being signed by the Patriots in free agency. You've had a lot of really good linebackers step up. Raekwon McMillan stepping up as the third linebacker. Then Christian Ellis and Joe Giles-Harris also stepping up. Kind of makes you wonder, like, what's the role here for Sione Takitaki at this point? I mean, if you're going to play him this upcoming season, he's going to play raw in a system that he hasn't played under. And I know a lot of people are going to say, like, what do you mean, Patriots Global? Like, this is like the Browns system. This is the Browns system offensively. This isn't necessarily the Browns system defensively. There'll be parallels, but Alex Van Pelt is only coaching the offense. He's not coaching the defense too. That's DeMarcus Covington, who has been here coaching the Patriots defensive line. So this is going to be more of a Patriots-centered defense than it's going to be a Browns-centered defense. So that's something to keep in mind. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with him. But at this point, like, do you just lock down Sione Takitaki for the entire season? Because he could be a liability to start the year when he hasn't practiced all offseason long with a brand new team and a brand new system. So that's something to watch. Getting in here, though, to the rest of the cuts, Patriots also released tight end Mitchell Wilcox. They also released safety Joshua Bledsoe, who had really a good offseason. You know, I think it's been underrated just how good of an offseason that Joshua Bledsoe is having, especially in the preseason, but a stacked safety group. And I think at this point, you know fairly what you're going to get from Joshua Bledsoe. And I think the team rather go with the UDFA safety in Del Pettis and see if he has a little bit more upside. But I think that he's a guy you hope gets back on the practice squad. But as some of you said, with how well he performed, there might be a chance that another team picks him up as kind of a depth safety. Patriots also releasing running back Terrell Jennings. He's someone who was probably never going to make that final roster there when he had Kevin Harris and JaMychal Hasty ahead of him. But I do really like what I saw from him playing late into the third and fourth quarter. I thought showed a lot of poise in the running game. I think he also showed a lot of poise as a pass catcher. He's someone where if he needed to be the Patriots' third running back on the depth chart, I would be okay with that if they needed to elevate him for a game or two, you know, because of injuries. So hopefully he gets back on the practice squad. I don't think that will be an issue whatsoever. And then Armon Watts. Now, if you guys watched my video yesterday, you would know that I did have Armon Watts making the Patriots' final roster. Now, he hasn't performed well this offseason, but there are some players who perform well in training camp and then perform terrible during the regular season. Vice versa. There's some players who perform terrible in training camp and then perform great in the regular season. And I wondered if maybe Armon Watts was one of those guys. Was one of the only external additions that the Patriots made during free agency this offseason. They gave him some guaranteed money, you know, had a really good season in 2023 with the Pittsburgh Steelers as a pass rusher and against the run. Just was never able to get his footing with New England. With Christian Barmore leaving, I thought that helped his odds at making the roster, but clearly that's not what the Patriots were thinking. They actually had, I want to say it was a UDFA at this point, or a second-year player. I'd have to see. I actually have to check that out. But make the roster over Armon Watts, which definitely says a lot. Disappointing, man. Definitely disappointed. I had a lot of hopes for Armon Watts. But, he's not here. I think he'll be signed to another team's active roster, kind of like a few years ago. What was it? 2019, I think it was, when it was, who was it? Mike Purcell, I want to say it was, signed him as a defensive tackle. He didn't work out. Then he goes to the Kansas City Chiefs and has been there for several years. But Bailey Zappi, also a player that the team released. Not shocking to me whatsoever. No reason to keep 4 quarterbacks on the active roster. I just think you have so many other places with players who are young and developing and can get on the field. Why keep a 4th quarterback when you know he's never going to see the field? At this point, you know what you're getting from Bailey Zappi. There's just no point. No point in keeping 4 quarterbacks, and I was okay with releasing him. A lot of people talking about, can Bailey Zappi get back on the Patriots practice squad? I don't want to say it's unrealistic, because I don't think a team will claim Bailey Zappi off of waivers. Keep in mind, if you claim a player off of waivers, they have to be on your 53-man roster for at least the first 4 weeks. I don't think another team is going to do that. But I could see Bailey Zappi saying, well, I can either sign to the Patriots practice squad, or I can go sign to, let's say, the Minnesota Vikings practice squad. And that's what he should do. He shouldn't want to be back here in New England. He's kind of been put through the ringer here since being drafted by the team in 2022. Not just that, but he's never going to get an opportunity here. Jacoby Brissett's ahead of you. He's a veteran. You're never going to be the starting quarterback or the franchise quarterback. They just drafted Drake May 3rd overall. And you're not going to be the backup quarterback here because they just drafted Joe Milton, who's already looked better than you. You might as well go to another team, whether it's on the active roster or the practice squad, and see if you can compete there with their quarterback room. So I just don't think that Bailey Zappi is back in New England in any way, shape, or form. But moving on here, the Patriots also releasing running back Kevin Harris, wide receiver Matt Landers, offensive tackle Liam Fornadell, defensive lineman Kobe Jones, and safety A.J. Thomas. A.J. Thomas, another player who I think looked good for them in their secondary this offseason. He was not going to make the roster over Del Pettis. He wasn't going to make the roster over Joshua Bledsoe. It's just a crowded room. I think he'll be another guy that they ideally want to get back on the practice squad. Kevin Harris, I had him being cut in my final roster projection. Some people said, over JaMycal Hasty? Really? Yeah, over JaMycal Hasty. I like Kevin Harris, but I think at this point, you know what you're getting from Kevin Harris. He's been here since 2022. He's had opportunities to take over the running back room, be a depth piece, be on the active roster, and he's never been able to do so. And I don't think anything was going to change now. I think he'll be back on the practice squad. There'll be times where he's elevated and he gets the opportunity to be on the active roster. But other than that, JaMycal Hasty is a better player. He's more explosive, gives them a little bit of a different change of pace running back. He's a much better receiving back out of the backfield than Kevin Harris is. Special teams ability too. It doesn't surprise me whatsoever that Kevin Harris was cut. As for Matt Landers, Patriots fans were thinking, hey, he could make the roster after he looked good in his first preseason game with the team. No, he was never going to make the roster. It didn't matter if he put up 100 yards, 200 yards. He was never going to make the final roster for the team. I think that ideally he's a practice squad candidate. I would love to see him back. I thought he had some really good moments. 6'4", 4.39 40-yard dash, a lot of potential there, but a stacked wide receiver group that the Patriots have. And when I say stacked, I don't mean it's one of the best cores in the NFL, but what I mean by stacked is there's a lot of NFL caliber wide receivers for the New England Patriots on this roster. And it's already hard for some of these poised veterans who are actually going to contribute in the passing game to make the roster. And I just didn't think that, Matt Landers, a guy who's been here for a week, was going to be able to beat any of those guys out. But like I said, I think he'll be back on the Patriots practice squad. And then the rest of these are pretty self-explanatory. Chad Ryland also being released here by the Patriots. It's been kind of obvious for a while now that Joey Slye was that starting kicker. The Patriots apparently did try to trade Chad Ryland during the roster cutdowns, and nobody was interested, which no freaking duh. Chad Ryland hasn't exactly showed that he can be an NFL kicker. He hasn't showed that consistency. Not just that, but the Patriots have shown their hand, so they didn't have leverage. It was very clear that Joey Slye was their starting kicker and that Chad Ryland was on the outside looking in. It was obvious when the Patriots didn't give him opportunities to kick field goals that they didn't believe in him. It was the same instance this time last year. teams kind of figured hey, if I want Chad Ryland, I'll just sign him when you release him. Why give up any draft capital? And now he's released. I do think there is a chance he's back on the Patriots practice squad, but I do also think that there is a chance that he wants a change of scenery and also goes elsewhere. A couple more releases to get in here too. David Wallace being released. Offensive tackle Calvin Anderson being released with an injury designation. Offensive tackle Kellen Dyche also being released. And edge rusher Jonathan Russell being released. David Wallace, another one Patriots fans thought could make the roster. As much as I like him, he was never going to. A lot of fans comparing him to Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, Danny Amendola, and the upbringings are very similar. Small wide receiver, small white wide receiver who's good on special teams, but he's a late round pick or a UDFA. And in this case, Wallace being a UDFA. Remember when Julian Edelman started here, he wasn't immediately on the Patriots 53-man roster. He had to start on the practice squad. He had to work his way up. But I'm also not going to go as far as to say he's going to be compared to one of the Patriots' greatest of all times. One of the 3 greatest Patriots of all time. Can he be Edelman? Can he be Amendola? Maybe. But at the other side of things, he might also just be Gunnar Olszewski. He might also just be Braxton Berrios. I hope the team can get him back on the practice squad. I think he's shown a lot of poise. He's shown a lot of promise. I think that if the Patriots deal with injuries on special teams with their returners, he would be the first guy that gets called up. But at the end of the day, I also think that there could be another team that sees David Wallace. He was one of the best return man in the preseason. And they might just say, we need a return man. We have a spot on our active roster. Come here and we'll put you on our 53. I think that's a real chance. That's happened to the Patriots with Olszewski. That happened to the Patriots with Braxton Berrios when they released him and he went to the Jets. Gerard Mayo said himself a few weeks ago, this Patriots team isn't like what Bill Belichick did. You know, they're not going to keep players on this roster specifically to be a special teamer. If you're going to be on this team and play special teams, you're also going to need to be able to rep on offense or also to rep on defense. And David Wallace just was never going to rep for the Patriots on offense. He was never going to be a piece for them with this wide receiver core. Calvin Anderson, that one shocked me a little bit. I had him on my 53. He's been in and out with some injury problems, obviously missing like all of last year with a health scare. I just think they need help at offensive tackle. They have 3 active tackles on this initial 53-man roster. Calvin Anderson being in the system before, being a veteran, I just thought was a guy that they would want to keep around, but I guess not. I guess not. And honestly, at this point, it wouldn't shock me if Calvin Anderson just retires from the NFL. The team also releasing Shaun Wade here and then also releasing second-year offensive lineman Antonio Mafi. I thought Mafi looked good at times during 2023 as a guard, but just wildly inconsistent. They tried him at center. He looked even worse at center than he did at guard. I think he'll be back on the practice squad. Y'all, the one that got to me out of all of the cuts, Shaun Wade. Shaun freaking Wade. And you know what? Look, if you had released Marcellus Dial and Shaun Wade, maybe this would have been an easier blow. Why in God's name are we releasing Shaun Wade but keeping Marcellus Dial? Please, for the love of God, someone type in the chat and try to explain this philosophy to me. So let me get this straight. So if a player is drafted, even if it's the 6th or 7th round, as long as they use a draft pick on you, you have job security. At least for your first year, you have complete job security. It doesn't matter how crappy you play. If we used a 7th, a 6th round pick on you, you're making the roster. I don't care if you were burnt on every single one of your targets. We got to suck it up because we used a draft pick on you. Isn't the whole point of free agency, the whole point of the draft, to bring in players that are going to improve your team? Do we not remember? Do we not remember what happened last year when the Patriots' entire cornerback group was injured? And we needed guys that were on the practice squad to step up and be starters. So why Marcellus Dial, who's been dealing with injuries during the offseason, who has been getting burned all training camp long, who has not worked with the first team defense when the rest of the starting defense was healthy because he looks like crap. The guy who allowed over 106 total yards week 2 of the preseason against the Philadelphia Eagles and was the reason that the Patriots lost. He's making the roster over a guy who's been in your system now for 3 years, can be a cornerback 3 for you if you need, but at the very least is going to serve as depth. He's going to give you height at cornerback, which Marcellus Dial is not going to do. He plays in the slot. He plays on the outside perimeter. He's a veteran. Why would you not go with Marcellus Dial? Or why would you not go with Shaun Wade over Marcellus Dial? That's the one that doesn't make sense to me. You could release Marcellus Dial. He wouldn't be claimed. Nobody is going to take Marcellus Dial and put him on their 53. Tell me what Marcellus Dial has done to dictate a 53-man roster spot. Why are you scared that if you release Marcellus Dial, you won't be able to get him back on your practice squad? I promise you, if you release him, he's back on your practice squad. I don't think that Shaun Wade is back on the practice squad. It would shock me if Shaun Wade is back on the PS. There is a lot of teams that need cornerback help. And a veteran who is still young, who has versatility like Shaun Wade, there's going to be a team that scoops him up. I'm telling you, a team like the Vikings, I mean, he's going to be a Viking within the next 48 hours. I promise you that. The smart move would have been keep Shaun Wade on your 53, release Dial, put him back on your practice squad, and try to continue to develop him throughout the season and give him a chance next year. That's not what they did, and I can't understand why. But that's actually going to be it for the Patriots roster cuts. Real quick, though, before we do that, as I try to stall a little bit because I forgot to pull this up beforehand. Excuse me on that one, guys. Oopsies. But before we do that, guys, real quick, I want to give a shout out to the sponsors of this video and the channel all season long. Before we get into BetUS, guys, remember that supporting the sponsors that support the channel is the best way at supporting me here at Patriots Global. Not to get into a sob story or anything, but I do everything here by myself, guys. This is my full-time job working here on Patriots Global, working with Roundtable Sports, and I do everything. Content creation, thumbnails, breaking it down, research. As we're with a lot of other companies you see making Patriots-related content, it's a whole crew. Here, it's just me. We could not be here without BetUS. We could not be here without the sponsors that support the channel. So if you want to support me, you want to support the channel, or you just want to see more Patriots-related content, then make sure you guys go ahead and support the sponsors that support the channel. Right now, link in the description box below, pin in the comment section below. You guys can get an exclusive 125% sign-up bonus on BetUS all the way up to $2,000 on your first 3 deposits. What that means is, let's say you put down $100, it turns into $225 for you to play with. More money you put in, more money you're going to get out. And that goes all the way up to $2,000. I'm telling you, no other sports book is going to offer you what BetUS is going to do. They also allow you to have a 200% crypto deposit bonus, fastest payouts in the industry, fast and easy deposit and withdrawal process, 24/7 personalized service, 365 days a year, live wagering on all major games, best betting variety in the business. BetUS will also give you guys a 10% back on your net losses 2 times a year. Literally, they are taking care of you and your money. Did you guys also know that BetUS can give you your very own personalized account manager? Guys, they are literally here to help you make money. Name me another sportsbook that's going to do that. Oh, wait, you can. Most importantly, though, guys, make sure you are allowed to actually use BetUS. Make sure you are 21. Make sure you are of age. And please, oh my gosh, for the love of God, if you have an issue, if you have a gambling issue, just skip the video. Just skip the video. Make sure you guys get the help you need. If somebody you know, somebody you love, if it's yourself, get the help you need. Reach out. There is free numbers, free help that you can get. If you guys need any help, if you're struggling, please reach out to me specifically and I will direct you and help you get that help you need. That is, of course, the number one priority here. But want to take a look at these odds via BetUS. Right now, these are the odds for the Patriots to win the division. They have the fourth best odds at plus 2,500. Best odds is, wow, they changed it. The Jets. This is my first reaction seeing this. The Jets are now the favorites to win the AFC East at plus 170. The Bills are second at plus 180. The Dolphins at plus 200. So it's really neck and neck between those teams. And then, of course, our New England Patriots all the way down there at plus 2,500. Look, I know we're not going to be good, but I do feel slightly disrespected that the third team is 200 and then we're all the way down at 2,500. Like, at least give me plus 1,200 odds. Okay, I think that's realistic. But plus 2,500 just feels maybe a little bit disrespectful, Pats fans. But let me tell you, plus 180, Buffalo Bills, they're winning the division. So much hype around the Dolphins. They took a step back. So much hype around the Jets. Literally, they've done nothing. They've won on paper. Aaron Rodgers is how old? Coming off of a complete season-ending injury. Nah. I'm telling you right now, bet on the Buffalo Bills at plus 180 if you are looking at having some fun and taking your bets on who's going to win the division. But guys, let me know in the comment section, like, who do you guys think is going to win the division? Because I think it's going to be the Bills. I don't even think it's close. Bet $10 on the Detroit Lions to win the Super Bowl. Burley, that's a great point. I mean, the Detroit Lions, I think, only got better this offseason. I think the San Francisco 49ers are going to struggle a little bit. I don't believe in Nick Sirianni with the Eagles. And really, I'm just saying, the Lions should have went to the Super Bowl last year if they didn't shoot themselves in the foot. So $10 on the Lions to win the Super Bowl via BetUS, that could give you some good cheddar. Also, I mean, get that 125% sign-up bonus, put $10 in, get an extra little money, put that down on there, and bada bing, bada boom, you're cooking with some gas. But of course, guys, play responsibly and check out BetUS. Link in the description box below and pinned in the comment section.
Michael Vick at BetUS.com. Catch an incredible 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits, plus 10% gambler's insurance. BetUS, my online sportsbook and casino.
Now, what I also want to do is we don't need to share that anymore. What I also want to do is I'm going to bring up the Patriots 53-man roster, and they released a cool graphic on Instagram. So that's actually what I'm going to do. We're going to show you guys this on Instagram. Let me pull it up. Hold up. I don't know why this is not. Y'all are experiencing some live technical difficulties with your boy right now. But of course, if you are tuning in on Twitter, it does look like we have about 86 of you guys. Pin this real quick. It looks like we have about 86 of you guys live here on YouTube, which means the rest of you guys are on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, join us over on YouTube at Patriots Global. Let me move that. Join us over on YouTube at Patriots Global. Be a part of the live discussion in the comments section. We are going to get to some of your guys' thoughts and reactions here pretty soon. I want to know how you guys are thinking after roster cutdowns today. So if you're on Twitter, go ahead and come join us over on YouTube and be a part, like I said, of that discussion. Is it this one? Yes. Okay. So this is the Patriots 53-man roster, official, or I should say initial 53-man roster. What looks better? Does it look better if I do this? Or does it look better if I do... I think it gives you guys a better view if I do it like this. And while we do that, if you are a Patreon member and you would like to come on and share your thoughts about the Patriots cuts and final roster, that link is on Patreon now for you guys to come onto the stream and join me to talk about what this team is looking like. But let's just start breaking this down. First up here, running backs. Antonio Gibson, JaMychal Hasty, Ramondre Stevenson. I like it, okay? I think there's a chance that they still add to running back, whether that's on the practice squad or add somebody to the 53-man roster. Someone that I really like was released by the in-division rival Buffalo Bills, and that is Frank Gore Jr. What are the Bills doing, bro? You have James Cook, who's a good lead back, but other than that, who do you have? Frank Gore Jr. was the second, if not the best running back throughout the entire preseason. He was averaging 4.9 yards per carry. I get the Patriots have a worse offensive line than the Bills, but the Bills don't have a great offensive line. I think Frank Gore Jr. is just that much of a dog, and he was one of my guys during the draft process. He's going to have to go through waivers. Patriots have the third claim. Elliott Wolf, put it in, my guy. I mean, this is a no-brainer for a team that is going to be a run-first, run-centric team. Having a guy who can put his shoulder down and just run through somebody, it's exactly what Alex Van Pelt had with Nick Chubb. It makes so much sense. Please, for the love of God, bring Frank Gore Jr. here to New England. I would love that move. But again, your running backs right now, Antonio Gibson, JaMychal Hasty, or Ramondre Stevenson. I think Ramondre is going to be the bell cow. I don't think it's going to be what it was last year where Ramondre is getting like 60% of the snaps and Zeke was getting like 40%. I think Mondre will be that bell cow, get 70 to 80%, and then the rest is going to be Antonio Gibson with a splash of JaMychal Hasty in there. Quarterbacks, Jacoby Brissett, Drake May, and Joe Milton. It's going to be interesting because if the Patriots feel that Drake May is not ready, and let's say Jacoby Brissett goes down. Let's say Jacoby Brissett goes down week 2. What do the Patriots do? Do they thrust Drake May in there a little bit earlier than they wanted? Or do they say, Joe Milton, go out there until we are ready for Drake May to come in? What I would do, you throw out Joe Milton. I mean, yeah, Gerard Mayo said himself, Drake May has been the best quarterback for the Patriots. He even said, and I quote, Drake has outplayed Jacoby Brissett. But at the end of the day, you're thinking about the next 10 years with Drake, not the next 10 months. So if you feel like he needs another month, then don't thrust him out there early. I don't care if he's 90, 95, 98% ready. Until he is 100% confidently, purely, and truly ready, do not throw him out there. The Patriots aren't going to be that competitive this year. They're not going to be a great team. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're not contending for a Super Bowl. So if Joe Milton has to start for you and he doesn't win you a single game, who cares? Because you're not going to be competitive anyway. But let's move on here to tight end and running backs. But before we do that, I got a couple of friends I want to bring on here. Got my boy Neil, got my boy Red Sox. Guys, real quick, I want to get into you guys. Real quick, let's share your thoughts on what you think first off on roster cuts. Neil, let's start with you.
That Wade one.
Sean Wade?
Yeah, you make a valid point. I really like Dial. I'm really big on him. But when you look at how Dial was inconsistent and Wade was a guy who's been with Baltimore, been a veteran, and he's done pretty decent with us, and he showed out this preseason. Kind of a shocking cut right there. And then if you look at Harris, I like Harris, and I'm shocked that he got cut. He finally got a shot taking some more reps, unlike Bill not giving him that. And he showed out pretty well, especially the last preseason. I'm surprised we didn't keep 4 running backs, whether it's him or you kept Jennings, or you kept Hasty and you kept Kevin.
Did you have any other surprising roster cuts from the Pats, or for the most part, was it what you expected?
No, besides that, man, I'll be. It's mostly what I expected. This is what's gonna go down to. So everything else was fine. Besides those, that's pretty much it. And with the May thing, you gotta take your time with them. Really gotta take your time with this kid. I mean, by week 5, I think he should be ready, but you can push it further. It all depends on that left tackle position. It'll be hopefully better than what we've seen with the Eagles because you get Andrews back and you get Lowe at left tackle, even though I think most of us don't trust Lowe. But
yeah, I agree. Red Sox, do you got any thoughts here on the roster cutdowns? Any surprise ones for you?
No, none of them were really surprising. They were all, I mean, some people thought that I know Sean Wade was a big one, but he hasn't. The thing is, he just hasn't done anything. He was injured a couple of times with the Patriots. So none of it's really surprising. They haven't the depth on this team in terms of what we had going into the preseason wasn't too deep. So you kind of knew who the starters were going to be before the preseason really started.
Yeah, I mean, I had some Patriots fans in my roster cutdown video. Love and respect all of you, but I had some people saying, they wanted Matt Landers and David Wallace over like Tyquan and like Rager.
No.
Hey, look, I understand they're young. I understand they're developing, but they're right now, they are not anywhere close to what Tyquan and Rager are and what they're going to give you offensively. But Neil,
No.
let's bounce out to you real quick. I just broke down my thoughts on the quarterback and wide receiver, or quarterbacks and running backs rather, that actually made the roster. Real quick, just looking at this, what do you think of the quarterback and running back group right now?
I think you're missing one running back, I would say, but it's because I have a concern with Stevenson getting hurt. What happened last year and the years before? When you get one running back hurt, the whole thing starts to crumble because you put too much load on Stevenson, and I don't want that happening again. You know what I mean? That's why I feel more comfortable with the fourth. But I like Hasty, bro. I mean, he surprised me. That dude could catch and he could run. It's like a little spark plug, you know. Um, that's a good thing to see that. Gibson, as advertised to me, great at catching, could run when he needs to. And Mondre's our guy, you know. Brissett should be our starter. Very iffy on how he played, but he's still a veteran. I'm sure he could dish it out. I trust him for at least the first 4 games. Drake, man, I'm happy he's number 2. He finally showed out. But I was watching the QB school guy. He made some clear points of him still doing the double toe, you know, clinking the toes together too much and moving around the pocket too much instead of staying and sitting and hitting where he's supposed to. Still making good strides, I would say, with Drake, but he needs to be careful with that, moving around, getting himself into trouble when he could just be sitting in the pocket or move up and adjust his footwork there and then shoot it. And then you got Milton. I'm happy Zappy got cut and Milton got put in because Zappy should have never been there in the first place. The man should have been cut by preseason number 2. But I'm happy Milton's there. This is Milton's shot, I would say, in the next few years to raise up his value. And then we could probably trade him for a 5th or a 4th, hopefully, and we get something out of it. That's the way I see it with this. It's a good, solid group, and it's like a group that motivate each other. They won't, you know, put each other down. And if things are going out of place and things are not going right, I'm sure they'll be able to lift each other up and have that camaraderie, especially with Brissett being here before and doing what he needs to do. If we look at it, at least the first week, even the first week, I'm seeing more confident now than ever because you have AVP and Brissett who faced the Bengals twice every year, right? For the years that they were together. And we're looking like a little bit more of a team that we could finally see the roster, and they're still having issues on the O-line. So, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice, but I'm not saying, hey, we're a freaking playoff team or a 10-win team or a 9-win team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe JaMychal Hasty, honestly, like I'm thinking about it, maybe using him, like I said, third down back or, you know, third running back team that's going to give you some depth, kind of like that Rex Burkhead role. I see some parallels. He's going to give you that spark. He's elusive off the line, good receiving back when you need, but also going to give you that special teams ability. That's kind of the projection that I see. But again, it wouldn't shock me if maybe there is another running back out there that they are still targeting because, I mean, I think you could have released JaMychal Hasty and Kevin Harris, probably gotten both of those guys back on the practice squad, but both those guys have also been here for a while. Like you want somebody who knows this system. You don't want Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson, and then the rest of your core guys who were just signed right before the start of the season.
Exactly.
But 85 of you watching here on YouTube, 41 of you watching over on Twitter. If you guys are watching on Twitter, think about coming and joining us live here on YouTube at Patriots Global. You guys can be a part of the active discussion in the comment section, as where if you're watching just on Twitter, unfortunately won't be able to. So if you're on Twitter, go ahead, come and join us over on YouTube. And also make sure if you're on YouTube, you hit that like button. Yeah, what's going on?
So with this roster, it's looking good and all, but that left tackle position, man. It's still tricky. You got people on waivers you get, and when you talk about running back, Gore is there. I mean, if Gore Jr. is there, you better not have him because that is a very, very nasty running back. And if there's any old lineman available, go grab him. Whatever you got to do, or else it's not going to be looking for any good for any quarterback. You put Brissett in there, even if May might do well, it's just the injury issue, man. It's like everything else I'm fine with on the roster, bro. Like it is what it is. Is if you solve that left tackle position, you're making it decent. You're probably looking at a 5-6 win team. PG.
Red Sox, what is your thought on the initial roster here with the quarterbacks and running backs?
I mean, I like it. I mean, I like that they kept Joe Milton. I like Joe Milton. Um, Other than like, I know Keishon Butte was a big one. I like Keishon Butte. I think that he's gonna be decent in the league. And letting him go would have been a mistake. So I like that. I like that they kept 7. As for the whole, we kept 3 running backs. I mean, the thing is Demario Douglas doubles up. He can play the backfield. And I see him lining up in the backfield this year. I could see that happening. There's a lot of potential for this offense. I like the high upside of the young wide receivers that they have. You know, if Thornton can make that big leap that everybody's been hoping for, that'll be great. I mean, and then at the end of the day, like we you know what you're going to get from Demario Douglas. You know what you're going to get from what's his name, Kendrick Bourne when he comes back. But like, you know, I want to see like Keishon Butte play well. I want to see Javon Baker. I want to see Jalen Polk. You know, these are the guys that you really want to see. You know, Jalen Reagor is literally only going to be your return specialist. So I mean, that's pretty cut and dry. But I mean, other than that, I don't hate what they did. They had to do what they had to do. The quarterbacks, they kept 3. They're going to develop 2. Jacoby's not going to be here next year. So they're going to run a 2-man, they're going to run a 2-quarterback system next year, and that's going to be the end of it. And then running backs, you know, Gibson, sure. JaMychal Hasty, sure. Ramondre Stevenson, sure. Some people want to see 4. I said that they should just keep 3 because you have a wide receiver that can play the backfield. So do it.
Yeah, they'll do a lot of end arounds too. You know, maybe even put Jaheim Bell out there at H-back. Last year at the collegiate level, he was the best tight end in football when it came to yards after the catch and forced missed tackles. So I think he's a guy that we could definitely see in that role too. But 3 tight ends, that's exactly what I was expecting to happen anyway. No reason to keep 4. But with the injury problems that they have at tight end, I think keeping 2 only would have been a mistake. I don't know how much we'll actually see of Jaheim Bell this upcoming season. I wouldn't expect to necessarily see a whole lot of him, but he's someone who I think will be a very versatile piece. He's going to play in the slot. He's going to play out wide. He's going to play inline tight end. He's going to play H-back, using him as that Swiss Army knife type of role. I think, and I hate to scare Patriots fans here, but I think you're hoping Jaheim Bell can be everything that you were hoping Dalton King was able to be for you back in 2020. Just, you know, obviously much worse of a blocker. You know, Jaheim Bell's never going to be a blocker for you, but it's the receiving upside that is the reason that you're keeping him on the roster. And then, you know, as for these wide receivers, I thought they were going to keep 7. I'm not shocked at all that they kept 7. With the personnel that they're going to run, 13 personnel, that requires an extra wide receiver on the field. That's the type of offense Alex Van Pelt runs. As where Belichick liked to run a lot of 12 personnel, which was those 2 tight end sets. We might see that now and then, but for the most part, you're going to see 3 wide receivers on the field pretty consistently. Javon Baker, Keishon Butte, Demario Douglas, KJ Osborne, Jalen Polk, Jalen Reagor, and Tyquan Thornton. A lot of people don't like that Tyquan Thornton is on this roster, but for some reason, Alex Van Pelt believes that he's a massive piece to this starting offense, and that right now, he is actually the projected starting X receiver for the New England Patriots. And I think,
dear Lord.
I think a big reason that Tyquan Thornton is your starting X wide receiver is because of Javon Baker. Javon Baker had so much potential, and if he was able to come out during the offseason and shine and be consistent, maybe Tyquan Thornton is somebody that they move on from or can use as maybe more of a depth piece or a trade piece, right? But Javon Baker, not looking good. He was the most targeted wide receiver in the preseason, yet did absolutely nothing. He's clearly a guy that needs to develop. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of Javon Baker this upcoming season, at least to start, because he's going to need to earn those reps. He's going to clearly need to develop because he's showing a lot of rookie moments, and that's what's thrusting Tyquan Thornton into your starting X role. For me, the rest is pretty self-explanatory. In my roster projection, I did have Keishon Butte off the roster. The reason that I had him off was because of Kendrick Bourne being on. I did, though, put the caveat on it. I did say that, look, if Kendrick Bourne starts the season on the PUP list, which he did, that is going to free up a roster spot in the wide receiver room, which there'll be an open spot because they'd only be at 6. That spot would go to Keishon Butte. For me, the last wide receiver on the roster right now is Kayshawn. And I'll be really, really interested to see what the team decides to do when Kendrick Bourne does come back, because there's no way that they are going to keep 8 total wide receivers on the active roster when Kendrick Bourne does come back. So I think they're going to use September as kind of an extension to the preseason for the wide receivers, meaning that, hey, it's up there. I mean, between Jalen Reagor, Kayshawn Boutte, y'all better perform, because one of y'all is going to be out when Kendrick Bourne comes back. That, or they put somebody like Javon Baker on IR with a ghost injury. But that's kind of how I see the wide receiver core kind of projecting here. Neil, any thoughts?
Yeah, that's very, very smart of you to say that, PG. Shit, I didn't even think about that. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, they could play it like that. Like they could do a phantom injury with. I think that's what they'll do. They'll do a phantom injury with Baker, right? And you make a key point. Baker was supposed to show that he could be the X to replace Thornton. AVP, seeing that there's not enough confidence in him yet because he still needs to develop more, he kept Thornton. I don't like it, but PG, when you word it that way, yeah, I see it. It makes logical sense. I don't fucking like it, but it's not for me to like it, just for me to make sense of it. Baker was supposed to show out. He didn't. It's going to take him a longer time than expected. So, yeah, when KB comes back, Baker's probably going to be put on a phantom IR, and they're going to go over there. Because why would you take Boutte out when Boutte did good in the preseason, as far as I know, in the practice, too. So, I don't think they'll do that. They would not do that. And they want to keep Thornton for that reason, like you said. So they're going to roll with it that way. Just kind of disappointing with Baker, but I get it. Polk, I'm so souped for Polk, bro. That dude's a chain mover. PG. That dude is a chain. Like, I see Myers when it comes to, you need me, bro? I got you. You know what I mean? I'm your security blanket. Don't worry, bro. Throw it at me. And it's like, for this young age already, he's showing that in the preseason. I know it's against third string, second string, or whatever, but he's showing it. That's good. And then if you look at when you talk about Bell, with Dalton Keenan, they couldn't even freaking run the play properly. They couldn't do anything. At least this kid caught a little bit and did something.
Yeah, I think everybody thinks I hate Kayshawn Boutte. I really don't. I would love to see Kayshawn Boutte succeed here. He's never going to be a wide receiver 1 here. He's never going to be a wide receiver 2 here. I think if he ever was, you would have seen it by now. He would have. Can you hear me?
Yeah, he got cut off. You're back. You're good.
We're back. We're good?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so I think a lot of people think that I hate Kayshawn Boutte, and I don't. Like I said, he's never going to be a wide receiver 1 here. He's never going to be a wide receiver 2 here. I think at best he's like a wide receiver 3, a wide receiver 4. He's a depth rotational piece. He's a complementary piece. He needs to be more consistent. That's what I said. I said, look, one day in minicamp, he's going off for 4 touchdowns in one day. The next day, he's quiet. Then he has a spectacular one day. The next 3 days, we don't hear anything from him. That's the problem. And yes, in the preseason, he made a couple of good grabs, but then also we didn't hear anything from him. Like, I forgot that he was out on the field during that final third preseason game. That's the problem.
He was. He was PG still. I'm sorry. I forgot too. I didn't even know he was on there.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. The Patriots are going to roll with the guys that are more consistent. I don't care if in a game you can put up 120 yards, the next 3 games you put up 0. They're going to go with the guy that consistently puts up 40, 50 yards a game, because consistency is what matters the most. And that's the problem with Kayshawn Boutte. He's not consistent. And if he's going to stick on this roster, he has to learn to be more consistent. Michaela, I know you're in the chat. Okay, I'm sorry. Michaela's a big Kayshawn Boutte fan. She hates when I say anything bad. Just keeping it real. I'm just keeping it real. I hope that he can develop into himself. He's shown promise. He's shown poise. But here's the thing, too. Kayshawn Boutte is redundant to what the Patriots have, right? Kayshawn Boutte is similar to a Kendrick Bourne. He's similar to a KJ Osborne, both of which those players are right now better than, I see we're kind of struggling here a little bit. Let's switch real quick. Both of which those guys are better than Kayshawn Boutte right now. And at the end of the day, there was a discussion on Kayshawn Boutte over Jalen Reagor. It's not a discussion. It was never a discussion. Jalen Reagor is a better wide receiver right now than Kayshawn Boutte is. Also, on this team, he has a much bigger purpose. Jalen Reagor last year was the Patriots' best run-blocking wide receiver. so many different occasions I could show you that Jalen Reagor made key blocks to spring off from Andre Stevenson. Not just that, he provides a spark in special teams as a kick returner and punt returner. Second to last week of the season, returning a kick against the in-division rival Buffalo Bills. Not just that, but he's not redundant. Jalen Reagor, right? Outside of Tyquan Thornton, Jalen Reagor is the only speedster the Patriots have at wide receiver. He's the only wide receiver outside of Tyquan Thornton that makes a defense respect the Patriots offense over the top. And that's the difference that separates the two. Again, I don't hate Kayshon Boutte at all. I wanted him to stay here. I wanted to see how he would develop. But at the end of the day, these are just the facts. But let's get into the offensive line here, Neil. I know you had a couple of thoughts on this one too. Three tackles. Right now, 3 total tackles on the active roster. Your entire offensive line depth is listed right here. David Andrews, Nick Leverett, Vidarian Lowe, Chuks Okorafor, Mike Onwenu, Layden Robinson, Sidy Sow, and Caden Wallace. I was shocked. I was shocked to see they only have 3 tackles. Now, I understand that maybe they want to continue to add there. I would be surprised if we enter week 1 and it's still only 3 tackles with all the issues they've had at injuries there this offseason, with all of the rotational problems they've had. Having only 3 tackles will literally kill this team, and we'll get to a point where we're having like Layden Robinson playing tackle if they don't sign another guy, which is like the last thing that we want to happen. Again, I understand why they let go of Calvin Anderson. He's injury prone, and they might just be saying, we're going to get another guy who can be more consistent and a little bit more reliable, as where Calvin Anderson just hasn't been able to get on the field because of his health problems. For me, I like the interior of this offensive line. Gerard Mayo saying it's a strength of their team. I do still believe that it is a strength of their team despite what happened last week. I think when David Andrews comes in, it's going to look a lot better within the interior. Your pass blocking, your run blocking, the issues with snaps aren't going to happen anymore. I also like the fact that they kept Michael Jordan. It's going to be interesting to see if they kick out Michael Onwenu to right tackle, or let's say Sidy Sow isn't able to go week 1. Who is the guard that they go with first? The rookie Layden Robinson or the veteran in Michael Jordan? Now, Michael Jordan, he's been significantly better during the preseason as a pass blocking guard, but Layden Robinson has been significantly better as a run blocking guard. It's going to be interesting to see what the Patriots' thoughts are with what they prefer there. But Neil, any kind of thoughts there with the O-line?
Yeah, the interior, so Wendu, they're good. They're really good. That is our core strength. And when Andrew gets back, people need to stop panicking. It'll get better. This has happened to us before. When our center was gone, the whole thing started to collapse. So it'll get back to together. But it is very concerning when you only have 3 tackles. But like you, I think I see it where they're gonna go and get a guy like Humphreys or some other person on the roster. They're just not going to let 3 tackles run like that, bro. That would be the worst mistake they could do, especially when we're questionable at left tackle. That whole preseason game with the tackle, Okorafor, and those penalties, bro, those were atrocious. That was disgusting. Throughout the whole preseason, I have more concern about the penalties than anything, you know. It's a repeat of penalties are really not good, especially with the tackle position. But I think if they put the right people at the right positions, if you put Okorafor back at right tackle, maybe you get Low back at left tackle, or Wenu at right guard, or something like that. Or you can put Wenu back at right tackle, put Robinson at right guard, you know. But so at left guard, I hope he stays healthy. God forbid he gets hurt. But you're gonna have some maybe twisting around with the tackles, but you definitely need more depth with the tackles. The guards I'm completely comfortable with. Michael Jordan, I don't even know much about. Levert, oh, that name's gonna traumatize me for the rest of my life. For what I've seen in that preseason game, I know why he's there because we got nobody. Literally got nobody to play center. But hear me out, PG. Cole Strange could possibly move to a center position, and I think he'll do well over there as a backup right now, at least for this year. And then maybe next year he could fight for it, right? I think that'll be a good spot to put Cole Strange back where he should be. So that way, at least we're not putting him behind a guard. You already got guards, man. We got like 4 guards. It's enough there. I'd rather him be behind a center when we really don't have a good backup center.
Yeah, you know what's wild too is like we've all been trashing Cole Strange and being like, he's out of here. But in reality, like Cole Strange could come back this season and be like the biggest unsung hero of the New England Patriots. Like I think
And
that
let's be honest, PG, he's actually decent when healthy. Sorry to cut you off.
he is.
He's decent when healthy, so he's not bad. He's decent when he's healthy. It just he has a health issue. I think he should just be at the left guard position. Put the guy center. Keeps him more healthy.
Yeah, all of these issues at guard. I mean, we drafted how many? Like 4 or 5 over the last 2 years in the
Bro,
draft. We thought that was
too
going to
many.
call it for Cole Strange's career here in New England, but with how bad it's looked, he might still be the best guard that the Patriots have. It just comes down to him ultimately staying healthy. And like you mentioned, if David Andrews retires after the next year or two, I think he's someone who could look good at center. And if he gets back and they want to start repping him at center, he could be somebody that at least stays on this roster as a backup and could still be a part of this future, maybe being a starting right guard, maybe being their starting center when David Andrews does leave. I do still think that there is a role for Cole Strange because opposite of really David Andrews and Michael Onwenu in the interior, that interior of the offensive line, like it is wide open, especially when it comes to depth. One thing I would watch here is the center position. Now, or not very low, but Nick Leverett rather is the backup center behind David Andrews. I think he's a guard. I don't think he's a center. I don't know why they're trying him there at this point. I don't think he looks good. He's having issues with snaps. Just keep him as a guard. I think he's good there. He's a veteran. If you just think that you have too much depth at guard, then release him and find another center because right now, if David Andrews goes down, this team is absolutely screwed at the center position. But let's move on here to the defense. Defensive line, you have Daniel Ekuale, Devon Godchow, Tristan Hill making the roster, Jeremiah Farms, Keon White, and Dietrich Wise. Neil, what are your thoughts here?
Bro, my dude Farms made it. I'm so happy for Farms, PG. I'm elated that you got like Farms making it. Hill made it. Wow, bro. This D-line, low key. I love you, Judon, but I ain't concerned anymore. I am not concerned anymore. We got a young piece. I'm not saying we're gonna be that fire D-line that was last year, but we got some young, good pieces here, man. We got Wise coming back. You got Quali. Quali's pretty good. Godshaw's, he's okay, but you need him as an interior guy. You got Hill and Farms. Guys like that. You have White. I think White's gonna have a breakout year, PG. I really think so, and I think other people are saying the same thing about White. He's looked good, and don't be surprised when Farms comes through and start hitting that pressure in too, man. These people are gonna be shocked when they start seeing pressures that they didn't expect from New England coming through, bro. This is gonna be probably a core strength of our team as well as our cornerbacks, man. People are gonna be shocked when they see this whole different type of thing.
Yeah, Farms had a really, really good offseason. Honestly, I wasn't even expecting it. I thought he had good moments last year, but I thought, hey, he's going to have to fight for a roster spot. And I think we saw pretty quick in training camp that Jeremiah Farms wasn't fighting for a roster spot. He's the backup nose tackle behind Devon Godchow. I thought he showed a lot of promise even and some potential as a pass rusher too in the interior. I actually think that Dietrich Wise is going to be the most unsung hero in the interior of that defensive line or that defensive line period. I think the guy that's going to step up the most in replace of Matthew Judon or in the absence of Matthew Judon is actually going to be Dietrich Wise. Led the Patriots in pressure since 2022. He's looked the most dominant on that defensive line so far this offseason. So I think he's going to have a great year. I think Keon White's going to look good with more opportunities, more time to develop. But I think especially straight off the bat, early on in the season, Dietrich Wise is going to be the guy that you constantly see getting double teamed, constantly in the backfield, the guy that's getting maybe the most sacks even. Tristan Hill, to me, I didn't have him on my roster. He's looked really good. He was one of the last guys off of my roster.
Yep.
So I thought there was definitely a chance that he could make it. I think the fact that Armand Watts didn't make it and Tristan Hill did, that's what thrust him into this position, right? Like you said, shocking. I think if Armand Watts was able to look good this offseason and look like a rotational player, Tristan Hill wouldn't be here. I think Tristan Hill is here because of how bad Armand Watts has looked.
I agree. That's the only reason why he's still there.
Let's move on to the linebacker position. I think this one was a little bit interesting. Your starting linebackers, Juwan Bentley, Jelani Tavai, Raekwon McMillan. No surprise here. Those guys have been here for a few years now. That is your core. That is your linebacker core. You obviously also have Anthony Jennings, Joshua Uche, O'Shane Zimenez. Some of those guys might play a little bit of stand-up linebacker, but for the most part, they're going to be edge defenders. meaning that we had a battle going on for that fourth linebacker spot as a rotational piece. Who is it going to be, Christian Ellis or Joe Giles Harris? I'm not going to lie. I like Christian Ellis. He was picked up off of waivers by the Patriots during the 2023 season, former Philadelphia Eagle. But after going down with an injury, how good Joe Giles Harris looked, a big thumping linebacker. He's always around the ball, a ball hawk. He had several interceptions this offseason, one against the Commanders a few days ago. I thought that he was going to be a guy that made the final roster, but no, they're rolling with Christian Ellis, who has been the Patriots' best coverage linebacker this offseason. I think he's actually looked really good on that third down linebacker role that Mac Wilson served last year, which basically is the role that Sione Takitaki was brought here to kind of be put in, but he's obviously been injured. Christian Ellis looks really good, setting the edge on third down, getting to the quarterback and in coverage, brings that special teams ability. So, I'm definitely not upset here. I was just a little bit shocked that Joe Giles Harris was a guy that they weren't a little bit more interested in. Any thoughts here, though, with the linebacker core?
Veterans, bro. PG veterans. We have so many rookies that they went with the veteran choice. You can't give it to the rookie in that perspective. I think they wanted some good veteran linebackers to cover. And to put a rookie out there could cause them problems. Even though he did very well, I think they went with the smarter choice. I like the other guy more, but I think they went with the smarter choice. Bentley is Bentley. Jennings is going to be there. McMillan, I expect him to have a much bigger upside this year. Do much better. Tavai is going to do great. When Taki comes back, that kid's going to be fire. Uche, man, the bar's not so high for me. I hope he shows out. I hope he shows he is something when he didn't show that much. He shows a lot of inconsistency. Jimenez, oh my God, love this kid, bro. It's a very, very young guy. He has a big upside. He did good in the preseason. I like this core, bro. It's faster. It's what we needed, faster. That could cover a little better, Something we lacked was speed.
Yeah, fast, young, and athletic is definitely what I would say about this linebacker core. Something else I would say is I think there were a lot of tough decisions that had to be made by Elliott Wolf, who made the final roster decisions. Mm-hmm. And I think what they looked at was not just who was good for the role, who fits their offensive system or defensive system, but also they put stock into guys who have been here, right? JaMychal Hasty obviously being here for a while. They put enough stock into that to keep him around. Christian Ellis obviously being here longer than Joe Giles Harris. I think that's one of the big factors that came down here, knowing the system, knowing what's expected and being comfortable. Kind of back to that philosophy that we talked about during not training camp, but free agency, taking care of your own guys who have been here the longest, guys who are probably going to get taken care of when it comes down to those battles. But moving on here to corners, safeties, and lastly, special teams. You have Alex Austin, Isaiah Bolden, Marcellus Dial, Kyle Duggar, Christian Gonzalez, Jalen Hawkins, Jonathan Jones, Marcus Jones, Jabril Peppers, the UDFA Del Pettis, Brendan Schooler, Marco Wilson, and then on special teams, Bryce Behringer, Joe Cardona, and the kicker, Joey Sly. Neil, I'm going to bounce this one off to you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this was actually good, except the Wade part. Kind of questionable there. But besides that, I like Bolden. Bolden's a sneaky dude. Alex Austin has some, I think he had inconsistencies, if I'm not wrong. But I think he'll fix it around. Duggar's good. Of course, you got to keep Duggar, Gonzalez. Yo, Hawkins, I'm telling you right now, so far, he looks like a guy that has the potential to take on that McCourty spot that we've been begging for, PG. So I really like the upside on this kid. He's come out surprising to me, to be honest with me, to you. So I'm glad he's gone better. You still have Jonathan Jones, Marcus. I'm sure they're gonna make it. Yeah, they're gonna be what they are. They're gonna be good. Peppers definitely. Peppers gonna have an amazing year. I don't know about the other guy, Del Pettis. I'm not sure. I don't know much about him. Happy Marco Wilson made it. Marco Wilson made a good impact. Schooler's a good, fast special teams guy that we definitely need. But when I look at his cornerback and safeties group, I have more confidence than I did last year with guys coming back like Gonzalez. And, you have guys, Marcus Jones, and then you have Jonathan Jones back in his natural spot where he should be. Kyle Duggar's back. Like Wolf did, he bring the core guys back, added some young guys like Bolden. You still have Alex Austin. You have Hawkins. We saw that safety position which you needed. You still got Peppers there, which is good. I definitely do like this. I would have liked to get Sutton, but that didn't happen. Can't win everything, PG. But this is very good. I definitely do like it. Then you have Bryce Behringer. Oh my God, this kid's gonna be the best puncher in this freaking game. Just watch.
I love it. I love it. I think they almost were perfect with their secondary.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I would have done different, and I hit on this earlier, drop Marcellus Dial, add Shaun Wade. If they did just that one easy little simple thing, I thought that this would have been a perfect secondary.
Mm-hmm.
I like the guys that they kept all off season long. We were talking about Alex Austin versus Marco Wilson, who was going to be that number one perimeter cornerback opposite of Christian Gonzalez, and those guys have been heel to heel on each other. I mean, the Patriots giving both those guys opportunities, both looking really, really good, and I like that they didn't just take a shot in the dark, because what they could have done is they could have said, both look good, let's just pick one and release the other. But they said, let's just keep both. Let's just keep both.
Yeah.
Let's rotate those guys. Let's keep them fresh. And after the injuries that they had last year, I like the idea of keeping some more depth there. So big fan that they kept both of those guys, young guys who are still developing. Del Pettis, I also really like the addition of keeping him. I don't know how much he's really going to play. It might be like the Joshua Bledsoe situation from a couple of years ago when he first made the Patriots roster, where he's going to play some special teams, some defensive snaps, but probably not a whole lot. But probably just a guy they want to continue to develop. He showed a lot of promise. He's been the Patriots' best UDFA, and I'm just happy that they're back in the days where they're keeping UDFAs. The Patriots have been known for being one of those teams that had the longest streak in the NFL for a UDFA to make the team, and they broke that over the last couple of years. Now, getting back to that, I think there's a lot of value in it. Why? Because there's a lot of really good UDFAs that don't get drafted. Like players that should realistically be drafted, but there's just not enough picks to go around, so they enter that UDFA pool, and now you have 32 teams trying to go out them and grab them. The Patriots might not be the sexiest destination right now, but there'll be a team that UDFAs find intriguing, because if the Patriots get back to being known as the team that at least one UDFA makes the team per year, the final team, UDFAs are going to look at that and say, despite my standing as a UDFA, the Patriots won't see me as different, and they will give me the opportunity to still be on their active roster, despite what their core looks like at that specific position. And I think that bodes really, really well for them on getting some really good UDFAs in the building. So I like them getting back on track there. There's really not too much for me to say about this core. I mean,
PG, how you feel about Sly, man? Sly is, he's good, PG. Oh my God, he reminds me of Gostowski, bro.
Is he going to be the Patriots kicker for the next several years? Like, no. There's a reason why he was a free agent. There's a reason why he signed with the Patriots later on in the process. I think at best you're hoping he can be a Nick Folk. Come in, be consistent for you for a couple of years, but is he the next Vinatieri? Is he the next Gostowski who's going to be like your kicker for the next 10 years? No, realistically not, but he has a really long leg. And the fact that in that game against the Commanders, they gave him an opportunity to kick a 60-yard field goal. That is something they never would have given the opportunity to Nick Folk. They never would have given that opportunity to Chad Riley.
No.
So, and two, if you
he almost made it.
Yeah, you go back, you look at that play. It was the accuracy that was off. He was a little bit towards.
That's it. He had the leg, bro.
He had the leg. He had the distance to be able to make it. Ultimately didn't go through. So he did the most important part. He got the distance.
Yeah.
He just needs to work on that accuracy. So I definitely think they made the right decision there at kicker. And then obviously at, like I said, cornerback safety with the secondary, Jalen Hawkins, I think, is finally going to give them stability at free safety, which was really an underrated part to this defense last year with how bad it was. They tried John Jones there. They tried Marte Mapu there. They tried Kyle Duggar there. Nobody could fit that role of Devin McCourty. And I'm not saying Hawkins is going to be Devin McCourty, but I think he'll bring some stability to free safety, which at the end of the day is just what the Patriots need. You look at a lot of the blown coverages they had, the big plays that they allowed deep from that defense last year, it came because of miscommunication from that free safety. So I definitely feel a lot more confident about the secondary, and you just hope that they're going to be able to stay healthy. But Neil, you have any final thoughts here on the Patriots' initial 53-man roster?
Yeah, man. When you have a guy like Hawkins, finally have a blanket safety. We've been deprived of this since McCourty left. I've been screaming my lungs out saying that ever since he left, we have never replaced him, and we did a pathetic excuse of a job for putting people a circle in a fucking square hole. You can't do that. We've been doing that consistently, and finally see a guy like Hawkins, which I don't think most people expected him to pop out the way he did, turn out pretty good so far. I think he could fill a role, be a solid, strong, free safety that we needed. Could blanket, could cover, could communicate well, to be that leader in the backfield, to watch out for plays, to adjust him when he needs to call him out and adjust him. And I think that's going to be a big addition. We got to be a very key addition to the rookie D line. Pay attention to that, and I think that's going to be a huge show for us to see. The corners, people think we're going to drop off in terms of ranking of the defense at 19th, I heard, which is I don't know where they gained these things, and I, I don't think so. Sure, Belichick left. You have Covington. You have a D-line coach that came from Cleveland. We still have our cornerbacks coach. We have our safeties coach. I don't know. We really didn't lose many people. Let's be honest here. We actually added some people. Expect our special teams to fully go 180. It's going to be a crazy ass good special teams, and already seeing it. The amount of vast improvement is difference is like night and day, and I'm so happy because I think it cost us 2-3 games last year just because of the special teams. So that should show you how big that is for us. And then when it comes to the offense, man, I'm looking forward to Polk, bro. Polk and these young kids playing and getting that shot, and Drake may eventually be in there.
Yeah, bro, for sure, guys. Make sure you guys check out link in the description box below, pinned in the comment section below, the sponsors of this video and channel all football season long. Whether you guys are looking to support the channel or you're just looking to have some fun for the upcoming football season, make a couple of bets on the Patriots or other NFL games. Right now, exclusive limited time offer BetUS is giving you, when you sign up with that link below, a 125% sign-up bonus, not just on your first deposit, not just on your second, but on your first 3 deposits. It is going to more than double your initial deposit. Make sure you guys go ahead, bet responsibly, but again, support BetUS.
Michael Vick at BetUS.com. Catch an incredible 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits, plus 10% gambler's insurance. BetUS, my online sportsbook and casino.
But guys, that is going to end off today's live stream. Your boy has to go ahead and get ready for the AFC West Roundtable, which is on YouTube at 9 p.m. and the NFC South Roundtable at 7 p.m. Your boy is the host for both of those. So I know it's not Patriots related, but if you want to see more of your boy, you want to learn some more about what's going on in the league, make sure you guys go ahead and tune in. Like I said, this roster I feel like was pretty self-explanatory for the most part when how I thought it was going to. I like how it's shaping up. Again, the roster you see right now, it's called an initial 53-man roster for a reason. There are going to be players week 1 on the roster that are not here right now. And there are players here on the roster right now that will not be here week 1. There are a couple of adjustments that are going to be made. Elliott Wolf saying himself that they have the 3rd priority in the waiver claim. There's a lot of really, really, really good players that were released. Rookies, UDFAs, veterans that were also released. Unfortunately, if you're released, it doesn't mean you're a bad player. Over 1,000 total players get cut during roster cutdowns. You have to go from 90 to 53 players. Unfortunately, because of that, there's going to be some really good players that teams just are not to be able to keep. Even as Patriots fans, we've seen over the years, we've had great players that unfortunately have to get cut because we just have a loaded core at that specific position. So definitely excited to see what guys can still come with over the next couple of days, see who's back on the practice squad and who's not. As always, I'll have you guys covered for all of the news and thoughts and breakdowns, analysis, everything happening with our New England Patriots. Make sure you guys do subscribe on your way out. Hit that bell notification so that you get notified every single time we post a video. Check out BetUS. And of course, leave a like on your way out, guys, because it really
that like
when you guys hit that like button. Let's see if we can get 150 total likes on this video. Pats Nation, you guys are the best. Patriots Global family is the best. I know you guys can do it. Let's see if we can get our like goal of 150 likes. We appreciate you guys for watching, but most importantly, never forget, go Pats.